So I'm going to move this over here. And move this over here. And then I'm going to wait just a little bit for it to go live.
It is live, it says on my side.
Oh, you're seeing it live already?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to give it, let's just give it 2 minutes to get some traction. Sure. So that we can get some people on there. And let me start a watch party too. Start. All right, so okay, that's not what I want to do. Let's just give it. If you guys are on live, just give me a thumbs up or a heart so I know that you can hear us on the mic, okay? And I'm going to sit tight for just a little bit longer. Okay. So what time is it over there?
It's 11 minutes past 4 here.
Oh, it's 11 minutes past 4. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's 7 hours difference now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes. You're going to have to forgive me. We started a little bit behind schedule. That is my fault. But if you could just give me a quick thumbs up or a like so I know that you guys are on, I'll sit tight for just a couple more minutes, and then we're going to get this thing started.
Nice.
So what's the weather like on the other side of the pond?
It's cold. It's like I don't know in Fahrenheit, but we use Celsius here. It's about 10 degrees Celsius. It's pretty nippy. Sun was shining today, which was gorgeous, and it's the fall, so we have all the leaves turning, and you know it's beautiful time. But I personally like the sunshine. You know.
So I
like the sunshine.
Jacket weather.
It's jackets, scarves, yeah, some gloves maybe. It's cold. My kids, you know, when I take them to school or fetch them, then they're pretty cold.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 9:12, you guys. Just to respect Dr. Poole's time, I'm gonna get started. So I recently had an opportunity to hear a little bit of Dr. Spencer Poole's story, and I saw a post that he did regarding his son, and I did a little bit of research and a little bit of background on him, and I realized or learned that he was in the top 1% of all consultants for Bob Proctor, so that immediately caught my ear. So I reached out to him. As a personal favor to me, he is taking time out today to talk to our group about mindset training. And that's really, really important. And I don't think I even realized how important it is until I had a introductory call with him, because I'm bringing you great sales content. I'm bringing you great material. We're teaching you how to close. We're teaching you all types of stuff. But I think you hit it on the nail when you said, you know, we really need to talk a little bit more about mindset. Yeah. And so as a favor to me, you guys, he is on here with us. He is from the UK. From the UK. Yeah. So you don't like American football?
I love American football actually, but I actually don't get to watch a lot of sport. My family is very just family orientated. So when we have time, we spend it together. We're not big sport watchers, which is shocking for people, you know, because usually we're into the football and the rugby and all of that. So, yeah, but I enjoy the sport when I see it every now and again. I think it looks really entertaining.
Well, rugby's pretty brutal too.
Oh yeah, rugby is pretty brutal. Absolutely,
yeah, for sure. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, you guys. He has some really, really good content that you can implement immediately into your business. And he's going to cover that stuff with us. And again, he's doing this as a favor to me. He's taking time out of his day. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Spencer Poole.
Awesome. Hey guys, good to see you all. Well, don't see you, but hopefully you can hear me, and you'll be either watching this live or later as watching the recording. I'm going to go through a little presentation with you guys that I've put together. It's all about mindset. For me, mindset it's everything actually. And what seems to be coming up more and more these days is that people really are understanding the power of mindset. And people are saying that it's 80 to 90% of the results that we get. And initially, when I heard that statistic, I was like, yeah, right. Okay, that's cool to say. But so what I'm going to show you is going to give you a real understanding. And when you have that understanding, it's really going to help you with seeing, that this stuff really does make a huge difference. So I'm going to share my screen with you now, and we're going to go straight into this presentation. That's my company. It's called Up-Level Lifestyle, and we're just going to walk through a couple of things here. So for me, it's about up-leveling your results. And, this picture I really enjoy because this is what we all are. We're one thing on the outside and something else on the inside. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the talk as well. So you're definitely not here by accident. Whoever's watching this live, or watching it later, this is not by accident. This is meant to be, listen to it. So I'm not a motivational speaker, and this will shock quite a few people because for me, motivation is good, but motivation comes and goes. I'm actually more into getting results, and for me, results that stick. So that's what I'm all about. And something that I wanted to start off the chat with is something that I used to wonder about. Why is it that in every business, there are going to be some people who are absolutely crushing it, and then there's going to be other people who are just scraping by? And you can get that in absolutely every industry. And what's interesting is that often these people will be selling the same product or the same types of product to the same market, right? And they're going to be doing it from the same office or from virtual offices. So why is that? And also what was interesting to me is that some of these successful salespeople, they're not even that smart. And I know you may get upset by saying that, but if we're honest, we all know people who are definitely not as smart as we are, but who are getting better results than we are. So we all know these people. And I say that most of us will probably be humble and say, well, I don't really want to say that I'm smarter than that guy. But we all know that it's true, right? So the truth is, that you're smarter than some people who are actually getting better results than you are. So why is that? And if you're anything like me, this really used to pee me off big time, right? And so why is it that you think that these people are getting results if they're not necessarily that smart? So tonight I'm going to show you exactly why, and this should be really encouraging for you and inspirational as well, and it certainly was for me. And a big part of this is because of their self-image. And so something that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is the self-image part of all of this, and it's really powerful. So what I want you to think about a little bit is, what do you want? What do you want? And it's really interesting when I always come up with this, with my clients and with people who I meet, it actually takes them aback because not many people really know what they want. And so what you need to do is, if we really took this seriously, you're probably going to struggle to come up with an answer. So we're not really going to take it too seriously for now. So let's just not be too serious, and let's talk about a couple of basic things that I know that a lot of you are going to want. The first thing is going to be more money, right? Everyone wants more money. Another one is travel. Oh, and one thing, Paul, I'm not sure if you can mute yourself on that side just for the clicking purposes.
Yeah.
So we all want more money, and we all want to travel. I'm pretty sure most people want to travel. And we don't just want to travel, we also want to travel in style, right? And, I used to remember when I used to travel with my family, I used to get into the plane, and of course they stick you in the front of the plane where you go past all the people in first class and business class or business class, and then you go back into the economy, and you sit down and you think to yourself, geez, it would really be nice for me to be able to, not have to do that. Well, that's what we want, right? We want to travel in style. And then we also want time. This is something that I hear all the time. I want more money and time freedom. And what's interesting is that we actually all get the same amount of time. This is something that we all have the same of, 24 hours a day, as much time as there is, as long as we draw breath. So let's start by getting an understanding of some of the misconceptions around success, and these things are going to blow your mind. So the most significant one that I find is that significant result is not an intellectual exercise, right? It is not an intellectual exercise. So I was a doctor before. I was an emergency room doctor, and I thought I was an intellect because I had amassed all of this knowledge. I was a doctor, I had a title, blah, 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 but my results were still pretty crap. And success is definitely not down to someone's intellect. But school has us believing a couple of things. They make us believe it's down to the intellect. They make us believe you got to be smart, right? You got to be smart to succeed. You got to read, right? You got to remember, and you got to be able to repeat information. but actually it's not true. We've all been lied to, right? And I'm sure you know deep down inside that you can relate to this and you can agree with this. So let me tell you a little story, a story about this man over here. He's my mentor, Bob Proctor. This guy started out in 1961. When he started out, he was working as a fireman. He was earning $4,000 a year and he owed $6,000. That's not a good place to be. And he had dropped out of school. He had 2 months of high school and he had dropped out. And there was a man called Ray Stanford who visited him the one day and they got to talking. And Ray Stanford said to him, "You have incredible potential locked up within you. And here is a book that you should read. And if you follow what this book says, and if you commit to this, your whole life can change." And he ended up mentoring Bob quite a bit. And what happened was that Bob went from 4,000 a year to more than $1 million a year in a very short space of time. And now he couldn't understand why that had happened because this guy had no schooling, right? And what we can also see in society is that there are a lot of examples of people who have very limited schooling or who dropped out of school or who dropped out of university who have generated incredible results. You know, we've got the incredible Sarah over there, who is the woman who started Spanx. She finished school, went to work at Disney and then dropped out and she created this business. We have the incredible Henry Ford over there as well, who had no schooling and created the most incredible company, Ford. We have Steve Jobs, who actually pulled out of university to follow his dreams. And then we have Sir Richard Branson, you know, a billionaire who has no high school experience either. So very powerful thing, people, and this really shows you that it's not down to the intellect. So as I said, this guy, he was confused. How was he at such a young age earning so much money? And how did he actually manage to do that? And he went searching for the answers. And it took him 9 years of searching. And the information I'm going to give you is what he found after 9 years of searching. So he found this information that we're going to share now. He found that you don't have to be smart if you want to win in a big way, right? You don't have to be smart. But you don't have to be smart to earn a lot of money, but you definitely need to do certain things in a certain way. So you need to understand and to be able to change your mind. You need to understand and be able to change your self-image. This is something we're going to discuss, really important. You need to become more disciplined. Remember, I told you I'm not a motivational speaker. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is the skill of the masters. Work in a certain way. You need to be able to work in a certain way. You need to have a powerful mindset. And you definitely also need to realize that results have nothing to do with your intellect. So you don't have to be smart to earn a lot of money. Remember these people whenever you have that come up, right? So how many of us people, you know, how many of us know people who have, let's say, a master's in finance, but who are broke? I remember I did a finance degree while I was doing my medical studies, and the guy who was lecturing me was broke. He couldn't even afford a car yet to come in public transport. So, you know, this is a guy who has a master's degree in finance and he's broke. How does that work? Didn't make sense to me. So we all know to do better than we're already doing, right? If you admit that. And the problem is that we're not doing what we already know how to do. A lot of us know what we should be doing, but we're not doing it, right? And we don't think about it as much as we should, and we don't correct it. And we don't understand as much about how it works, and so we can't correct it. And so it's not a matter of what we don't know how to do, but we just don't do the things that we do know what we should do. So we do know, but we don't do it, right? I'm sure we can all relate to that. So if you're looking for any of these things, we know that you know, if you think about money, you actually know how to create more money, but you're probably not doing it. You know how to start to travel in style, but you're probably not doing it. And you know how to create more time freedom for yourself, but you're not doing it. So all of these areas, they can be improved, and I'm going to show you how. But it is definitely going to take a couple of things. It is going to take time. These things take time investments. You need to understand as well. For me, understanding is way, way important, so important more than the intellect. And you need a strong desire. You need a really strong desire that comes out of you for things. So what is it that you really desire, right? And again, this may challenge some people. And what is it that you really want? Think about it. We're going to come back to it later. So I want to welcome you to the chat. This is me. I'm Dr. Spencer Poole. I'm a mindset and results expert. For me, it's all about results. I'm one of Bob Proctor's top 1% consultants. I'm an ED doctor. I haven't worked as one for a while, but I used to be one. I'm a director at my company, Up Level Lifestyle. And I put there that I'm a human. And that may seem really obvious, and it is obvious, but I'm going to show you a little while why that is so important. Really important that we're humans. So this is a little bit of my story. I used to work as an ED doctor. I was frustrated. I was angry. I wasn't working properly. I wasn't earning the money I wanted to earn. And within 6 months, I totally transformed myself and became one of the top consultants with Bob Proctor. This is where I used to work. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that if you've ever been in the ER. And right now, this is where the people that I hang out with. This is also, again, me on stage teaching 300 people about this stuff. Absolutely spectacular. Again, happened in a really short space of time. And I share this with you because anyone can do this. Absolutely anyone. And this is actually all about you. So let's start with you, right? Here's you. It's 2019. And I'm going to be sharing information with you that my incredible mentor, Bob Proctor, has been studying since 1968. And what happened with this guy in 1968 is that he started to work with this man called Earl Nightingale. And Earl Nightingale, if you research him, actually is the guy who started the personal development industry in the US. And he was mentoring under a guy called Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill wrote this amazing book here called Think and Grow Rich. And that is the book that transformed Bob Proctor's life. And then this guy, Napoleon Hill, was assigned by Andrew Carnegie, this man over here, who was the first billionaire, the wealthiest guy in America at his time. And he asked Napoleon Hill to write this book. So all of this information that you're getting tonight actually spans 159 years. And that's spectacular. That's really powerful. So where could you be in 6 months? Here you are where you are now, but where could you be in 6 months? And I can tell you, you could be somewhere absolutely spectacular. I want you to imagine, right? Imagine, where could you be? So how would you how would you live if you could definitely generate those results that you really want, right? Would you be traveling in economy? Would you be traveling more? Would you be spending more time with your kids? Would you be going to their sports events? Would you be traveling, all over the world? What would you be doing? Would you be buying a new house? So I want you to really think about this. Where would you live? What house would you live in? Where would you vacation? How would you vacation? And how would you live? So now that you're a bit inspired, let's go into the actual nitty-gritty of it. So let's actually learn how to generate excellent results. So let's start at the beginning. It's good to start at the beginning. So what is the genesis of absolutely everything around you, right? This room around me, what is the genesis of this room? And if you look around you, you will see that there are possessions, and all of those possessions have three things in common. The first thing in common is that you bought these things, right? Or someone gave them to you and they bought them. And all of these things are a reflection of other people's results, right? So I've got old Iron Man over here. I'm an absolute Iron Man fan. And he was the creation of Stan Lee. And he had great results. And here's the Iron Man. But what's really important is that they all came from someone's mind. So I challenge you to find something in your room that's a possession that didn't come from someone's mind. Everything came from someone's mind, and then they created the physical part of that in reality. So this is the power of the mind. And the mind is the genesis of absolutely everything. This is what people miss. I missed it for 9 years. So that's how it is, period. Right? The mind is the genesis. So what is the mind? Well, when I was a doctor, I thought I was really smart. And, the mind, of course, is the brain. It's not. Is it maybe thoughts? No, not so much. But actually, the mind is an activity and it's not a thing. This is super cool. And no one has ever seen the mind. If I say to you, what does your front door look like? You have an image. What does your car look like? You have an image. Your spouse, your daughter, your son. Everything you have around you, you have an image for it so you can relate to it. But because we don't have an image of the mind that actually makes sense for us to understand it, it causes confusion. And so there's a guy called Thurman Fleet who created an image of the mind. And Bob says that this is the most valuable idea that he has come across in 58 years. That's significant. That's probably older than all of you guys are at the moment. So this is the concept here, and it's called stick person. And when I first saw this, I laughed because it's quite a ridiculous little kid's drawing, right? But it's the most powerful thing that Bob has come across in 58 years. So let's go through it. This is an image of your mind. It isn't your mind, but it's an image of your mind. And at the top, we have your head, your mind, right? And underneath, we have the body. The body is small because the body is the instrument of the mind. Now, the mind has two parts to it. It actually has a number of parts, but we're going to keep it simple. It has the conscious mind and it has the subconscious mind. We put the conscious mind at the top. I'll show you why later, and the subconscious mind at the bottom. This controls absolutely everything. And I call it the secret genie because for me, when you understand this, it's like having Aladdin's lamp. You rub it and you can have any wish and you can create whatever you want. And then what are these red things here? Well, these are our 5 senses, and they plug into our conscious mind, and they feed information into our conscious mind constantly. And we have taste, touch, seeing, smelling, and hearing, information flooding into our conscious minds. As I said, this is the secret genie. So let's break this down. At the top, we have the conscious mind, and this is the thinking mind. This is the educated mind, where you pile all of the books. You know, when you learn to be a real estate agent, that's where all the information goes. When I studied to be a doctor, that's where all the information goes. And this is our intellectual mind, and this is really important. And that's what sets us apart from this creature over here. This creature over here hasn't got an intellectual mind. It lives through its 5 senses, and it has instinct, and it reacts. And that's perfect for it. But we as humans, we have intellectual faculties, right? We as humans have intellectual faculties, and that sets us apart from the animals. That's why you're going to find that humans can live anywhere on the planet, right? You're not going to find the squirrel in space. You're not going to find the squirrel in Antarctica. You know, we will be all over because we can create our environment. How do we do that? Through our intellectual faculties. Let's go through them. Reason, your ability to think. Imagination. Have you ever thought of why you have an imagination? That was a question Bob asked me, and I sat there with a mouthful of teeth. We'll get to that later. Perception, how you perceive something, your point of view. Intuition, your awareness of vibration, right? We've all had intuitive feelings about stuff. There's a cop with a speed camera, and look, there he is, right? Your will, your ability to focus, to concentrate, and memory, we know that one well. So these are intellectual faculties, and these set us apart from animals. But few people know about and then use these 6 intellectual faculties. And that's because we've been programmed to live through our 5 senses. And what I'm finding with my clients more and more and more, and with their kids, is that they are learning to live through their 5 senses more and more and more. Because of the world that we live in, there's this constant stream of information bombarding us, dictating our attention, and we just can't stop it. You know, the kids all on their iPads and their TVs and all sorts of stuff. It's constant bombardment. And so it becomes programmed. So we live through our 5 senses, and that's quite sad. I'll show you why. So here are the 5 senses bombarding our information, bombarding our 5 senses. And what you'll find is that if you're living like that, then it's going to sound a bit harsh, but then people are actually living like these animals. And that's what you don't want. You don't want to be reacting. You want to be thinking and responding. So let's take some real estate examples, for example. You know, so you've been working on a deal for like 4 months and it falls through. Well, how do most people react? Like this, right? Or you've been prospecting for clients, right? And none are interested. You've just been doing it like for days and like it's wearing you thin. How do you feel? Like this, right? Or there's an amazing house that you're confident that you're going to get to sell, and then it's given to another agent. Like this, right? And I used to live like this as well. For 9 years, I lived like this, and it was painful because I was always at the mercy of my 5 senses. And what happens with these 5 senses is that they create our thoughts. And this is what's so important. When you're living from the outside senses, you're allowing those to create your thoughts. And after tonight, you're never going to be like that again, because you're going to have an understanding of how this stuff works together. So you're going to use your 6 intellectual faculties to master your mind and to generate incredible results. That's what you need to do. So regardless of what's going on around you, you are in charge and you are using your 6 intellectual faculties to create the life that you want. So there they are. So let's talk a little bit about the subconscious mind, because this is actually the most important one as well. This is our emotional mind, right? This is where we feel. This is our feeling mind. And what the difference is with our conscious mind versus our subconscious mind is that your conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject information. If I say to you, you're a purple elephant, you have the ability, by using your reasoning factor in your conscious mind, to accept that information or to reject it. And that's what we use as the reasoning factor. What's interesting is that the subconscious mind has no ability to accept or reject information. Whatever information you give your subconscious mind, it's going to accept as gospel. It also will always accept, and it cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. And I'm sure we can also all relate to this. If you've ever, imagined something terrible that was about to happen, and you got all sweaty and you had palpitations and you felt really, really unwell, and it wasn't even real, it wasn't true. Well, it was imagined, and that made you feel really apprehensive, right? So this is really powerful. It can't tell the difference. And what's also important is it can't tell the difference between what is positive and negative. So if you give it positive stuff, it's going to take on the positive stuff. You give it negative, it's going to take negative. It's amoral. And this is where something called the paradigm sits. And this word has been life transformational for me. I'd never come across it in all of my medical studies and all the post-grad studies that I did until I was with Bob Proctor, who is the paradigm king. So let me explain what paradigms are. They sit in your subconscious mind, and they're mental programs that make you get your results, because they are a multitude of habits and a multitude of programs that you have, and they sit in your subconscious mind, and they control your habitual thoughts and your habitual behaviors. And what you'll find is that most people have habitual thoughts and behaviors that are 90% the same over and over and over and over again. And this is why a lot of people get the same results over and over and over again. So we all think that the intellect is what creates results, right? And remember, at the beginning of the talk, I told you that the intellect has nothing to do with success. And what happened with me was that I had a big intellect and my results were quite small. You can see the results here are quite small in red. And that made me angry and frustrated. And I know a lot of people can relate to this. A lot of people who I knew, what did they do? What most people do is you go and you study more and you pile more intellect into this top part of your head, thinking that that's going to increase your results. But relative to all of this added knowledge that you have, if your results only increase a little bit, it actually makes you more angry and frustrated, because it's still not kicking it out the park for you. So where's the disconnect? There's a massive disconnect here. Let me show you where it is. It's this thing over here. That's the intellect. It's not down to the intellect. It's actually the intellect that does not create the results. The intellect does not equal results. Remember that one. Remember these people, right? All of these people got amazing results without the intellect, the schooling, piling all of that knowledge in there. So what does cause results? It's this thing here, and it's called a paradigm. The paradigm causes results. It's the program, the mental programs that you run. Just like your iPhone will have a program in it, right? The iOS, and the iOS runs the iPhone, and the iPhone cannot do anything that the iOS doesn't allow it to do. It's the same with your paradigm. It's your program, and it's very difficult for you to do anything that is different from how you are programmed to work. So these are those mental programs in the subconscious that get you your results, the paradigms, right? And what happens with the paradigm is that the paradigm actually controls the body. It controls the thoughts that you have, and it controls your body. And your body is the thing that then goes and gets those results, both by what you do and by what you attract to you through your vibration. Cause and effect, right? Newton's third law. We know that one from science, from school. So that's what gets us our results. It's the paradigm. It's not the intellect. And finally, I understood. I was a doctor. I had studied this. I had done I'd gone to property development courses. I had done internet marketing courses. I had done trading courses, and my results just weren't getting better. Why? Because I was focusing on the intellect and not on the paradigm. My program didn't change, and so my results didn't change. So what you want to do is you want to create a new paradigm when you create a new paradigm, you're going to get new results. So this is what most people are having, right? All of these senses coming in, creating the thoughts. And what you have down here is the paradigm. And what you'll find is that the thoughts that you have will create your paradigm. And that's why you don't want to be living through your senses, because living through your senses are going to have, be impressing bad thoughts into your paradigm, creating a bad paradigm. And so you're going to be taking bad actions and getting results that aren't the ones that you want. When you create a new paradigm, then your results change. So for me, this is so important. And when you get this, for me, it was like lights had been turned on and I was free. I understood now what I needed to do to get incredible results. And as I said to you, in 6 months, I got massively impressive results. So let's have a look at this. This is also where your self-image is. And this for salespeople is so important, something people don't really know about. Everyone actually has 2 self-images. And that's why I also like Einman, because Einman is a perfect example of this. We have a conscious self-image, right? One that sits in our conscious mind, and we have one that sits in our subconscious mind. So we have 2 self-images. And the one that's in your conscious mind is the way that you dress, that you walk, that you talk. And most people think that that's the one that's going to create results. But you can have guys walking around with suits who aren't getting great results. Why is that? Well, that's because the self-image that's in the subconscious mind isn't the same as the one in the conscious mind. If we think of Iron Man, right? Iron Man, he's got this really powerful suit on the inside. But if you know Tony Stark from the movies, he's quite a sensitive guy. He takes a lot of emotion in. He takes a lot of responsibility. He's very thoughtful. He's a soft guy. He's quite different to the Iron Man who's on the outside. So which do you think most people focus on? Which self-image? Well, most people aren't even aware that there are 2, but they focus on this outer self-image. And which one do you think controls the results? Well, obviously, it's actually this one, this self-image at the bottom here. So society pushes us all to have a static self. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm sure you've heard this, like, don't change for anyone, right? You're perfect just the way that you are. And this constantly creates this paradigm of your self-image to be static. And you get a static self-image. So it's part of the programming. And you can change your self-image if you want to. If you want to, you can change it. So how do you decide whether you want to change your self-image or not? You look at your results. If you want better results, you got to look at changing the self-image as part of the paradigm. So how much time and money do corporations invest in their self-image or into their brands? Coca-Cola, right? Masses of money. A lot of the airlines, masses of money. The mobile phone, the cell phone providers, masses of money. Why? They understand this concept. They spend billions. How much time and money do most of us spend on our self-image? Well, actually, we spend thousands. We buy nice threads and we have nice watches, we have nice cufflinks, we do all sorts of amazing stuff. But actually, the problem is that which self-image are we actually spending that money on? We're spending it on this self-image over here. And you don't want to do that. So how much money do people actually spend on their inner self-images? This one over here, pretty much 0. And when you change this is when you really start to gain traction. For me, this was the game changer. Or close to 0, right? So do you see the problem? The problem is not being aware of those self-images, and the problem is focusing on the outer self-image where you should actually be focusing on the inner self-image. And I'm going to show you later a picture of a guy who I know who's one of the most successful people, and you'll see that the outer self-image has nothing to do with it. So how do you know that there's a discrepancy between your self-images? Well, you look at your results. Always go to your results, and that's why I said I'm a results specialist. If the results are not what you want, then you need to change. You need to build a new model, a new self-image, and this is super important. So how do we do this? Well, you've got to understand that there is a gap in the way of your success. So here is what I'm talking about, right? This is what I call the gap. We have the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And it doesn't matter what you're looking for, whether that's being free from financial concern, doing what you love, working with upbeat people, more money, more whatever it is, everyone has a gap. How do we know that there's a gap? Well, if the gap didn't exist, then you'd already have that. So if you don't have that, then there's a gap. Okay, so now we've established this gap, and this gap actually is you. And that's great. It's harsh, but it's great because you now have the power. And this will often cause a lot of pain for people. Let me show you what happens. So where does the problem start? Well, everyone that is around you and you are here is telling you exactly where you are right now. They're keeping you here. Remember all those things I said, by saying that you're told that don't change, be yourself, be authentic, stick to your roots, you're perfect just as you are. And absolutely, you're perfect just as you are if you want to stay exactly where you are. Okay, that's what keeps us static. But if you want to traverse this gap and you want to go from where you are to where you want to be, then you're going to have to traverse this gap. And how do we do this? Well, invariably, when we try and do this, it's going to cause what I call an identity crisis. This is so important. It's going to cause an identity crisis between the you who you are now and the you who you need to be to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And this is what I call the two selves. And they're going to be at war with each other. This is literally life and death battle. The now you and the future you are battling it out. And I didn't know this when I started my first business, right? And I was an unconscious competent. Fortunately, by the age of 26, I bought my first Ferrari, had an amazing business. But when I started off, I was shy and anxious. I was too scared to call people. I had a recruitment agency. I feared rejection a lot. I procrastinated. I found it difficult to focus. I felt undeserving, and I had no track record. Like, who's going to take business from me? And then I actually traversed this unconsciously myself, this old self-image to the new one. And I became outgoing and confident. I loved calls and meetings. Like, I just wanted more calls, to make more calls, to make more calls, to get more clients, to have more meetings. I could handle rejection like water off a duck's back. Just bring me more. Just bring me more. I had the ability to act now, right, rather than procrastinating. And I could focus for a long time. Remember those 6 intellectual faculties? One of them was will, focus. So I added masses of value to my clients, and I created a proven track record. But there was this gap, right? And I managed to traverse it. Some people do if they're unconscious competence. The problem about being an unconscious competent is that you're not conscious of what you've done. So it's not, sometimes you can't repeat it. And this is what happened to me. And it's non-transferable. You can't teach it to other people. You can't even teach it to your kids because you don't know what's happened. So the gap is not learning about property development, the stock market, internet marketing, software apps, etc., etc., etc. That's not the gap. The gap is you. And so the only thing that's going to fix that gap is you and learning about you. So many people believe that they can't change, and that's wrong. You can definitely change. And I'm going to show you a 3-step process on how to do this. And this is so cool. Step 1, define your current self. This person over here, your current self. And this person over here, your current self. And let me tell you, he or she is going to fight like hell. Why? Because they know that they're on the road out. And I bet maybe if you've been listening to this already, your current self is starting to fight. Who's this guy, Spencer? What does he know what he's talking about? This sounds like garbage. I mean, seriously, that's your current self. Your current self wants to survive. It's going to fight you. Your paradigm's fighting you. So they're going to fight like hell. Expect it. So to help you in the process, I've created you an incredible current self worksheet that I'm going to share with Paul, that he can share with you guys, that is going to help you define your current self. This is so powerful. How would you describe yourself now in 3 sentences or less? Where do you currently live? How much money do you have? How do you currently present yourself? What do you look like? What are your good habits? What are your bad habits? What are 5 of your best strengths? What are 5 of your worst weaknesses? What negative things pop into your head on a daily basis? List all of them. What past events do you worry about or replay in your mind over and over? What things do you worry about in the future? What things block you from doing what you should do every day and working towards your dream? Procrastination. What people or things do you currently blame for where you are? Who do you currently judge, and what do you judge them for? What things could you happily do all day? What things do you hate doing? What does your average day look like? And what character traits do you have? And then my favorite one, if people were to get together at a cafe or at a bar somewhere and talk about you, how would they gossip about you currently? So this worksheet is powerful, and you got to be honest, and it can be a sobering thing when you write this out. but this is what you need to do. Because once you've done this, you've defined your current self. Super clear. This person over here. Then step 2, well, we're going to tackle these goals, right? What is it that you want? Your dreams. We got a method for that as well. So if you want to understand how to discover your dreams, I've created an Incredible Dreams worksheet. And we have the 7 Ds of dreams. Dream, right? There are 3 types of dreams or goals that people can have. A type A, which is something that you've already achieved, like going on holiday to Florida. If you've been there before, that's a type A goal. Type B goal is one that you think you can achieve. Maybe climbing a big mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro in Kenya. Maybe that's something you think you could do. That's a type B dream. And a type C dream is one that you have no idea how to achieve. And you know what? People should be setting type C goals. Ones that you have no idea how you're going to achieve and scare the hell out of you, but excite the hell out of you. That's what you want. Set some type C goals. It's incredibly powerful. This is one of my type C goals. This is a house, 18950 Arvida Drive in Miami. My wife found it, spent a month looking for it. This is one of our type C goals, to move our whole family and to cruise in and live in either this house or one that we build that's similar in Miami. This really drives me. You've got to find something that really drives you, your type C goal. And you want lots of detail, like I know this house backwards, even though I've never been there. Then the next D's, define. You need to define your dream, write it out, declare it. Tell someone who you love, not everyone, just someone who you love and who cares about you, who will support you about this. Decision, make a decision. A decision is so powerful. We're going to get back to it later. Decide, I'm doing this, it's done. Start designing the things that are going to start to move you towards your dreams. Take daily actions, right? Every successful day builds on the next successful, builds on the next successful day, and moves you towards your dream. And deliver. Let's get to it. Let's do it. The D's. So now you've done step 1, you've got step 2, and the last step is defining your future self. Because what happens? A lot of people try to traverse their gap as their current self. And look what happens. They get self-sabotage and masses of internal conflict. We can all relate to this, right? There you are, and you're trying to go across the gap, bang, and you get smacked back. And you try and go across this gap, and bang, you get smacked back. And that really sucks, right? And that's because you're trying to traverse the gap as your current self. You can't. So I've got an awesome hack for you, and we're going to define who your new self is going to be. The one who's going to be eating those dreams for breakfast. So this is what we're going to do. And because of this, I've created you an incredible new self worksheet. Other questions. How would you describe your new self? Necessary to effortlessly achieve all of your dreams. Effortless, right? It needs to be effortless. In 3 sentences. What new skills and strengths does this new self need? What weaknesses are you free from? What good habits do you have? What fears are you free from? How do you present yourself? What judgments are you free from? What stories of the past are you free from? What traits do you have? What does an average day look like? Describe the new things that you love to do, and describe how other people would gossip about you when they were in that same coffee bar or a bar. Really powerful. Boom, right? That's how you do it. And then you've traversed this gap, and you're going to be like, okay, I've got this. Like, what else have you got for me? Then you traverse the next gap, and you go up, 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 up. And that's how you do it. So this is really how to cross the gap. And everyone else, will be telling you something different. They're going to be saying to you, hey, what's your dream? Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, let's design that dream a little bit more. Okay, now you go and get that dream. And you know what happens? That person never gets the dream. And that really sucks, right? I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. I had a whole lot of dreams that I never got, and it really used to suck. And that's because I tried to tackle it as my current self. Now you know why, right? Because you never designed and then became that new you that ate that dream for breakfast, your new self. So now you can see that the new self that you need to become to achieve your goals and to live your dreams, and it's so powerful. And most people try to attack each day as themselves. They get torn apart trying to achieve their dreams because it requires you to be someone you're not. It doesn't feel good either. So when you make a conscious effort to grow into your new self, achieving your dreams, they're going to become effortless, and it's going to become a minimum standard for you. And it's all you're going to be prepared to put it up with. So what seems impossible for you now and excruciatingly painful maybe will become daily habit and something that you do for pure enjoyment when you are this new self, and it happens. I'm here because I absolutely enjoy to be here. I love this. I used to be in the ER right now, you know, sweating it out and doing crazy things. Now you understand, right? The importance of knowing who your current self is, the real type C goals, and the new self that you need to become. So remember, I asked you, what do you want? Right? Give yourself that, allow yourself to actually think of what you really want. Not what you think you can achieve, but what do you really want? You know, for me, I really want that house in Florida. It's done. It's just a matter of time. I know it's done. What do you really want? You're going to have to make a decision on what you really want. And let me show you the power of a decision, because this is spectacular. So I'm going to show you why making decisions works so well. So if we have these lines here and we say that these lines represent vibration, everything in the world vibrates. It's one of the laws. It's one of the primary laws. If you look at anything under a microscope, it's vibrating. Thoughts are vibration. Everything's vibration. And we call them frequencies, right? You can relate to frequencies. In the olden times when we had our radios and we used to change from FM to AM to all sorts of different frequencies, this is what we were doing. So we think on frequencies. Our thoughts are frequencies. And most people, and the pink here, pardon me, is for my daughter Kayla. She loves pink, so we had to put that in the presentation. We think on frequencies. And so a lot of people will be having the same thoughts every day, right? And those thoughts are getting them their results, and their thoughts are on this frequency down here. And what happens one day is that they have this goal, and the goal is, I want to live in Florida. And then what happens is they make this decision. I'm going to move my family to Florida. But I'm going to do that as soon as I have all the money. Or I'm going to do that as soon as the kids are out of university. Or I'm going to do that as soon as whatever. You guys can just fill in the blanks, right? We've done this also often ourselves. We're going to do something as soon as something else changes. And what happens after a while is that decision actually wasn't a decision. It was a want or a wish. And with time, the decision fades because it's not happening. And then what happens with time is that the goal fades and disappears. And people's lives don't change one year to the next. So what do we need to do? Well, what you need to understand is that up here is the frequency that has the thoughts and ideas to manifest the things that you want. And actually, your thoughts are way down here at the moment. So what do you need? You need something that we call a paradigm shift. We've already explained what a paradigm is. It's a program. We want to shift your program. We want to shift your thoughts. And we want to get some high octane thoughts that are up here. And then what happens is that when you make this decision, and it's a real decision, it's like when I handed in my notice, I had no idea how I was going to support my family going forwards, but I made the decision. I sent my boss the resignation. That is a decision, and a huge decision. What happens then is that all of these old thoughts disappear. You're on a whole new vibration because you've moved to that higher vibration, and you start having these new thoughts and ideas, and these new thoughts and ideas are the ones that are going to move you towards that goal. So don't wait for all of the resources before you make a decision. Make a decision and then get the resources. A beautiful example of this is Elon Musk, right? Imagine Elon Musk when someone asked him, you know, is he going to go to Mars? He had to think about all of the resources he had and blah, blah, blah before he made the decision. He could never have made the decision. His decision was, I don't know how, but we're going to Mars. And he still doesn't know how, otherwise we would be on our way to Mars, right? But we all know he's going to do it, right? We all know he's going to do it. That's because he has made that decision. Doesn't matter what happened, and he almost got totally floored, right, by those failed rockets that went up. He had one more try, and if that one failed, he was gone. Like his whole financial, all of his money was gone. He just persisted. That's the power of decision. So really, remember, anyone can do this. Whatever it is that you want, you got to decide what you want. I told you that I was going to show you an example of why self-image is so important on the inside. And the outside's good because it's how we look and it can contribute to the inside. but the most important one is the inside. This is one of my clients, and he was making £40,000 a month, and he's now well over £100,000 a month, and that's like 50,000 US a month. And I said to him, who makes 40,000 a month at? And I don't know what, guess what I fudged out over here. Paul, you got any ideas on what I scratched out here?
Who makes 40K pounds a month at?
I'm gonna put you out of your pain, man. At 21 years old. This guy, powerful. Do you want to see Chris Wills? You can check him out on Facebook. He's there. That's Chris. And this guy was just fearless. And he had fewer paradigms. He was 21. Most people would say he's 21, so that's going to work against him. It actually worked for him because he had fewer paradigms, less strong paradigms. He changed them. He made new ones, and he just went for it. And he just did it. And his whole inner self-image totally transformed. And he got the results. Incredibly powerful. He's bought a massive apartment in Dublin. He drives an M4. Absolutely incredible guy. This is the power of this material. It's so powerful. This is a movie. I don't know if you can remember it. It's a movie called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Did you ever see it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Sometimes I say that here in England and people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, seriously? So for me, one of my favorite films, and I watched it about a year ago. This was one of the things that really hit home for me. And I was with my family and I was watching it and I just got so into it and I love the film. And then afterwards, well, in the movie, it says life moves pretty fast, right? If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. So that got my attention. And then what I did is I thought, whoa, let's just check when this movie was made. Can you think how long ago it was made, Paul?
If I'm not mistaken, it came out like around 84, right? 84, 83, 1984, 83.
30 years ago. Yeah. And so this is him now. That's him, as we all remember him. That's him now. This is me, how I remember myself. In 30 years, I'm going to be quite different, right?
Yeah.
And the point that I'm making is that now...
He still aged pretty well, though.
He's aged really well, sure. He looks good. He's still got his baby face just with a beard, right? He's a baby-faced bearded Donna. But, the point that I'm making is that now is the time. And when I saw this, it just like blew my mind. And I was like, I've had enough. This is it, my decision. I'm doing this. And everything has changed since then. And that's the power of a decision. And anyone on this call, you need to make a decision of what you want, and then you need to go for it. And for me, Paul and his team are spectacular people. I've really resonated with him in a short space of time. And the vehicle that you're looking for is his incredible firm. That is it. You don't need to look around for any other vehicles. It's there, right? And these guys are committed to really changing things and to shaking up the market and to getting incredible results. They're also such massive value givers, which I absolutely love. I don't know anyone around who has like 100% commission, right? Spectacular. But these guys want more. They want to help you guys more. And this is what he and I were discussing, is that in his training, there's a lot of, the stuff that you guys need to run your agency and to be agents, but there's not that much on mindset. And for me, mindset is pivotally important. You need a really solid mindset. You don't want to be reacting like the animals, right? You want to be thinking, and even if you've been working on a deal for 4 months and it falls through, that's not going to shake you. You got another deal and you got another deal and you got another deal, and one deal, okay, cool. Let's just now focus on these other deals and let's get some more deals and let's create some more stuff. And so something that I'm doing with these guys is that I'm going to be going through a 6-month mentorship program with them. It's called Thinking into Results. It's Bob Proctor's premium program. And it's organized, specialized knowledge. A lot of what I've shown you here, it's in the program as well. I've given you some extra bits as well, but there's so much more in the program. and it's so beautifully organized. And that's what makes the difference. You know, any training that you do, you don't want to be training a little bit here and getting a YouTube video over there and watching this thing on Facebook and reading this book and then this. No, you want specialized knowledge that is ordered, and you want it in a sequential order, and it needs to be ordered. This is what we're doing. This is what I do with my mentor, Bob Proctor, and anyone who's on the call. I'd love you guys to join us for this. The next 6 months, we're going to be taking things to the next level. This time, 2020, just watch out. REH is going to be huge. And what's it going to take? It's going to take a committed decision, right? A committed decision today, right now, at whatever time it is, wherever you're watching this, it's that time for that decision. Make that decision. Something that I don't do, but I spoke with Paul and he really appreciated that I put this out. I'm going to put the link here to my calendar. We're going to share it in the group as well. If you want to understand a little bit more about what's going through your mind, how to get clear on the things that you want, anything like that, get on a call with me and let's talk about it. I'm here to help you. This isn't going to be like a sales push or anything like that. For me, I want to help you guys. The more people who I help, I understand it's cause and effect, putting the good out there. The good's coming back anyway. I have a spectacular life that I live now with my amazing family. And I really look forward to working with the people who are on this call, who jump in, who make that decision. As I said, we're going to be working with Paul and his team and with Robert and with his team. You see, there we go. That's us telling us that it's right? The ring, yeah. the ring from the man above. So, jump on and join us for this. I'd love to get to know you guys better. I know that there are a lot of you out there who maybe feel disheartened in the industry, maybe feel disheartened by, going from one company to the next company, all of the things that dishearten us, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can create your own economy. Right now in America, I think things are absolutely pumping. Certainly in your industry, around your area, there's masses of opportunity. For me, no one better than Paul to join with this. I love the fact that he's an indie. Absolutely love that. And I think that's going to be a game changer for him in 2020. Anything from you, Paul?
No, I just want to thank you for taking the time. So for those of you who are on the call, I do want to make sure that you guys understand the opportunity that we're presenting. So I'm going to be working hand in hand with Spencer, and I'm going to make sure that, Dr. Poole,
Call me Spencer, please. The doctor's gone, man. I haven't seen the inside of an ER for a while, so.
To make sure that we have the right type of mindset coaching available for our team, right? Because again, I can teach you all of the how-tos, but if you're not in the right frame of mind and you let something take you out the game, it's all for naught. So I want to make sure that we have that type of training available for you as agents and for us, and even for me. We all need that type of training. All of us do. So it's very important that you have the right mindset and that you stay mentally strong. So I thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure, Paul.
He took time out of his day, you guys, to do this. I'm going to open it up real quick, just for like
Q&A. Q&A, perfect.
So if you guys have any comments, let me know now. I can see them on the chat board. And then while I wait for that to pop up, that story that you shared about your son on Facebook, that was powerful. Very, very, very powerful. Are you okay with sharing that with the group?
Sure. So in 2009 is when I first met Bob, but that was in the movie The Secret. I'm sure some of you would know him from the movie The Secret. If you're not aware of Bob, check out The Secret. It's on Netflix. And that was my virtual meeting with him, and I absolutely resonated with him. He's just an incredible person. He's 85 years old, going strong. And that led me to follow him and to start reading a book called Think and Grow Rich. That was the book that Napoleon Hill wrote, the one that Andrew Carnegie got him to make. And I had been reading that for 2 years. I don't know why. I mean, Bob had always said it's such an important book, so I think that's probably why I was reading it over and over and over again. And then we had the birth of my son called Cooper, and he was born in 2011 on the 10th of January. And on 18 days after he was born, we were given the horrific news. He became really unwell really quickly, that he had had a viral infection. A virus had infected his heart muscle, had destroyed his heart muscle, and basically his heart was failing. It was flabbing around. It wasn't able to push enough blood around his body. His lungs were failing. His organs were failing. And we were given pretty much two options by the doctors, the options no parent wants to get. The first was heart transplant, but 18-day-old babies, they don't get heart transplants, or death. And we cried for about 2 hours. It was really difficult. And then I had this inspiration, and for me, in spirit is when you're connected with spirit, with God, with Buddha, with Allah, with Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. But I had an inspiration, and I remembered Bob. I had the image of Bob flash in my mind, and then that led to Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill, in his book Think and Grow Rich, in chapter 2, writes a story about his son who was born in the early 1900s, and he was born without ears. And the doctors gave him a similar diagnosis for his kid, not that he would die, but that he wouldn't amount to much, because he would be a mute. And so he then refused to accept that, because he had been working with Andrew Carnegie and these successful people. And he would visualize his son hearing. He would speak to him on his mastoid process, sing him songs. His wife did the same. They treated him as any normal kid. And the kid started to be able to hear, to the point where he became a successful lawyer. And when they invented CT scans, CAT scans, they did a CAT scan of his head, and he didn't even have the hearing apparatus within his brain, the cochlea on the side of the brain. So no one could explain how he could hear. And that story inspired me. And I said to my family, Cooper's not going to die, although he almost did that first night. It was a hairy night. But he didn't die. And the second thing was that we were going to use our knowledge and our power and our love and our ability to mold intelligent substance to help to create. We're going to use all of those abilities to help heal his heart. And we rallied people around us. We had people all over the world sending Cooper whatever they could: love, happiness, prayers, goodwill, visualizing, whatever you could send him, that was good to send it to him. And Cooper started to recover. And within just over 2 weeks, he was discharged from the pediatric ICU, which was a miracle. And he continued to get better and better and better, even though, and every day we would always spend time visualizing his heart remodeling and coming back to how it should be and pumping strong and all of that stuff. And every checkup that we went over the years, he just got better and better and stronger and stronger. His heart was healing and healing. And he's under the pediatric cardiologists here in London, in the top children's hospital, and they've never seen it before, how a child has healed himself. And his heart now has gone totally back to normal. Cooper is 8 years old now. He turns 10 in January. And we just had a checkup now on the 24th, actually, because they never seen it before. So they want to carry on checking him up to see what's happening. But we know that nothing's going to change, because we've used our minds to heal his heart. And it's significant. And that really got me on my mission of what I do now and working with Bob. Working with Bob was a dream for me. I asked you today, what's your dream? That was my dream, but I had no idea how I was going to do it. But what did I do? I made that decision. I'm going to work with him. And now I work with him. It's incredible. This is the power of the stuff that we're dealing with. It's spectacularly powerful. Another thing that I told you, Paul, you have a big family as well, is that the effects that this material has on your family is, for me, the greatest reward of this material. I never even expected it. I was just not aware of it. But the effect that this stuff has had on my family as a whole is spectacular. It's indescribable. My kids have the most incredible attitudes. They have the most incredible way of approaching things. My relationship with my wife is incredibly powerful. It was already powerful, but it's just like next level. So it's really significant, and I wish people would first be aware of this, and then, try and shut off a lot of the things that people may may say about it, this is woo-woo stuff, and this is all that airy fairy stuff. Have a look at it. Speak to someone who knows. Don't ask the guy next door who hasn't got a clue, or someone who's not getting great results. Ask someone who's getting good results, and they can tell you, this stuff is significant. And for me, every day, I get to spend time with Cooper now because I work from home. This is my house, so my wife's grabbing them from school right now because I'm on the call. And then when they're home, I'm spending time with them every day. Every holiday, I get to spend every day with them. It's just so, so cool. And, again, I would say, you guys, Paul, you guys are phenomenal. And I love your company. And your company is the vehicle for people to achieve whatever they want in this industry. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. What is so powerful about that is that, when you share the fact that you were visualizing his heart being repaired, that's pretty amazing, right? And it's so outside of what, we can't even get people sometimes to visualize themselves being successful.
Yes.
Let alone physically repairing their own body or repairing the heart. And the fact that you shared that and again, going back to what you said, people could say that it's mumbo jumbo or whatever they want to call it. But at the end of the day, the results speak for themselves anyway. And
absolutely.
And so,
and I think also that the world is waking up, more and more people. If you Google Oprah and see what she says about mindset, she is categorical about it.
yeah.
There's no ifs or buts. And a lot of the really successful people, they are pushing that 80 to 90% of results as mindset. And it really is, it's so powerful. And it's liberating, and it affects every aspect of your life. And also what's cool is it just makes people better versions of themselves. They're just more good. There's more good, there's more money, there's more sharing, there's more helping. Something also that I think is probably quite a lot in your industry is competition. And it's interesting. Bob always says that, competing is for amateurs and professionals create. And initially I thought he wasn't really right on that one. But if you look at all the amazing sports teams, right? You spoke about American football. I can guarantee you those guys work as a team, right? They create. They do compete against the other team, but actually what they're doing is they're creating the plays themselves, right? And they're working together. And that's what you find in really powerful companies. In Google, people create. And Google has, is one of the biggest, best companies with the happiest workforce. They create. Yeah, they don't even worry about what the competition's doing because they're just doing their own thing. It doesn't really matter. It's like, why even waste time on that? We're just doing what we're going to do, and we're going to create this.
Yeah, well, our goal is for us and our agents and everyone on the call to create our own economy and to create our own lifestyle. So make sure you guys, I would encourage you, Spencer, for those who do reach out to you, thank you for taking their call. Schedule a time with him. I'll be in the office, and you guys can talk to me about the coaching and what he offers and what we're going to be doing collectively as a group. All right. Awesome. So it's 10:18. I think with that, I appreciate your time. Enjoy your evening. Tomorrow's Halloween for us. Do you guys have anything like that?
Absolutely. And I'm going to be there.
Oh, really?
I'm a werewolf tomorrow. Yeah.
Is it on October 31st as well?
It is. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
So we celebrate that common holiday as well as thank Christmas, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't do Thanksgiving yet, but I'm looking forward to doing Thanksgiving when I move to America, because I think Thanksgiving is also such a beautiful holiday.
All right. Well, we can try to see if we can create a Thanksgiving holiday in the UK as well.
That's a great idea. I like it.
Let's end the call. Thank you, Spencer, once again.
Absolute pleasure, man. Take care.
Have a great day, guys.
Take care. Bye.